It's easy to feel strong when everything is going your way. It's easy to feel confident when the doors open, the calls get answered, and the road feels smooth. But real strength, real character, that's revealed when life knocks you flat, when the plans fall apart, when the results don't come like you thought they would. That's when you find out who you really are. Not when things are easy, but when things get hard. And let me tell you something important. A setback is not the end unless you accept it as the end. You still have choices to make. You still have strength you haven't used yet. You still have another level inside you that hasn't been tested yet. Setbacks come to all of us. They are part of the journey, not the end of it. But the people who win, the people who write a better story, they don't sit around feeling sorry. They don't wait for perfect timing. They build their comeback with their own hands, starting right where they are. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. I'm going to walk you through 10 effective strategies that work in the real world. Strategies that help you stand back up, fix what went wrong, find your strength again, and move forward with more wisdom and power than ever before. If life has knocked you down, if you're tired of wondering how you're going to bounce back, stay with me. Because the comeback isn't a fantasy, it's a decision. And today you're going to find out exactly how to make it happen, step by step, starting right now. Number 1, get up quickly and refuse to stay defeated. You've had a setback, I understand. Maybe you lost something. Maybe someone let you down. Maybe you made a mistake. Maybe it wasn't your fault at all. But here you are. And I want to tell you something real today. Something that works, not in theory, but in real life. You have to get up quickly, and you have to refuse to stay defeated. That's where the comeback begins. That's the first step. I've met people who stay down for days, weeks, months, even years. They replay what happened. They dwell on what went wrong. They keep asking why instead of asking what now. And while they're sitting in that place of frustration or sadness or regret, life doesn't stop moving. The opportunities keep passing. The time keeps slipping. And the longer they stay down, the harder it becomes to rise. That's why I say get up quickly, not recklessly, not without thought, but with intention and courage. Because time is not going to wait for you to feel perfect. You don't need to feel ready to get up. Most people wait for motivation. That's a mistake. Motivation often comes after action, not before it. You take a step, and the energy starts to follow. You make a decision, and the clarity starts to appear. You move, and your mind catches up. So don't wait to feel better. Get up even if it hurts, even if you're tired, even if you're scared. Get up, because the longer you stay down, the more power you give to defeat. Refuse to stay defeated. That's a mindset. It means you accept that you lost that round, but not the fight. You accept that it didn't go your way, but you're not done. You refuse to stay in the position life put you in. You don't need anyone's permission to rise again. And you don't need to explain yourself. When you refuse to stay defeated, you stop acting like a victim. You stop talking about what others did to you. You stop focusing on what went wrong. And you start owning your next move. I've seen people who had nothing left but still stood up. I've seen people go bankrupt and start over. I've seen people broken by failure who rebuilt stronger. I've seen people humiliated who walked back into the same arena and won. Why? Because they refused to let one moment define their life. They refused to let one setback become their identity. That's what this is about. This isn't about pretending nothing happened. It's about deciding that what happened won't decide who you become. There's a difference between being defeated and choosing to stay defeated. Everyone gets knocked down. That's part of life. But staying down, that's a decision. And every day you stay there, you're reinforcing a story in your head that says you're not capable of more. You're telling your mind, this is who I am now. And that's dangerous. Your comeback doesn't need to be flashy. You don't need to announce it to the world. You just need to take one honest step today. Stand up, breathe deeply. Decide that this won't be the end of your story. Say to yourself, I'm not done. That one decision spoken quietly in a room where no one's watching. That's where real change begins. Some people wait for someone to pull them up. But here's the truth. No one is coming to save you. People can support you. People can encourage you. But they can't do it for you. You have to make that internal shift. You have to say, I'm getting back up, not because it's easy, not because it's comfortable, but because I must. That level of personal responsibility is rare, but it's powerful, and it's available to you. Getting up quickly doesn't mean rushing. It means refusing to delay. It means saying enough is enough. It means understanding that every minute you give to defeat is a minute you could use to rebuild. You don't get that time back, and life will never feel fair. But it's not about fair. It's about strength. It's about will. It's about doing what needs to be done, not what you feel like doing. When I say get up quickly, I mean get your focus back. Get your energy back. Get your priorities back. You'll be surprised what you can do when you decide to rise. I've seen average people do extraordinary things, not because they were more talented, but because they didn't stay down when life hit them. They got up, they learned, and they moved forward. And you can do the same. Sometimes people stay down because they're embarrassed, because they think they should have known better. But shame has no place in your comeback. Regret has no power unless you feed it. What matters is what you do now, not what you didn't do then. So stop punishing yourself. It's done. The page has turned. Now you get to write the next chapter. And you might say, but I don't know what to do next. You don't need a full plan today. You just need to stand. You just need to show yourself that you're not staying where you fell. You just need to show yourself that you still have control over your direction. From there, momentum builds. Clarity comes. Strength grows. There will always be a reason to wait, a reason to give in. But if you're serious about growth, you'll learn to act without perfect conditions. You'll get up when it's hard. You'll take a step when it's painful. And that's what builds real character. That's what separates those who bounce back from those who disappear. Don't let this setback bury you. Use it. Let it remind you what matters. Let it strip away the distractions. Let it fuel your hunger to become better. And then rise. Rise with discipline. Rise with patience. Rise with your eyes on where you're going, not where you've been. It won't be easy, but it will be worth it. Not just because of what you'll achieve, but because of who you'll become. The person who gets up again and again is the person who becomes unstoppable. So stand up now, refuse to stay defeated, and make today the start of your real comeback. Number 2, decide today that quitting is no longer an option. Every person will face a moment where quitting feels easier than continuing. It doesn't always happen in public. Sometimes it's in the quiet hours of the night when no one is watching. That moment when you're tired, discouraged, or overwhelmed will try to convince you to stop. But today has to be the day you make a clear decision. Quitting is no longer an option. When you make that choice, really make it. Something inside of you changes. You're no longer entertaining backup plans. You stop looking for a way out and start searching for a way forward. People don't fail because they lack potential. Most fail because they give up too early. They stop just short of the change they were looking for. They let discouragement grow louder than their reasons for starting. When quitting is still on the table, every hard day becomes a possible exit. But once you remove that option, your mind shifts. You begin to see every obstacle as something to solve, not something that decides your outcome. The mental clarity that comes from removing quitting sharpens your focus and your discipline. You don't have to feel strong to make this decision. You don't need perfect confidence. You just need to say, I'm done quitting on myself. That's it. It's not emotional hype. It's not about motivation. It's about maturity. You stop negotiating with your weaker thoughts. You stop explaining to yourself why it's okay to delay, give up, or fall back. You recognize that every time you've quit before, it cost you progress. This time, it will be different. Because now you've made a new rule, no more quitting. There's a big difference between adjusting your approach and giving up. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to rethink. But giving up entirely is what steals your future. It's what turns temporary discomfort into permanent disappointment. When you quit, you don't get to see how far you could have gone. And most people quit without even testing their limits. They assume the pain means they're not meant for it. But pain is part of growth. Frustration is part of the path. You endure it because you've already made your decision. Some people think deciding not to quit means forcing yourself to be perfect. That's wrong. It means showing up on the days you feel slow. It means staying committed even when your results are delayed. It means staying in the game long enough to learn what works. Too many want instant success, but real results come from persistence. When you refuse to quit, you train your mind to stay steady. You stop jumping from goal to goal, hoping one of them will be easier. You accept the difficulty and commit anyway. You may feel pressure from others to give up. People around you may not understand why you keep going, but your life isn't up for a vote. You don't need permission to keep building. You don't need approval to keep working. If you've got a reason strong enough, hold it tight. That reason will carry you through the rough days. And if you haven't found your reason yet, go deeper. Find something personal that matters more than comfort. When the reason is strong, quitting no longer makes sense. There will be days you question everything. That's normal. But don't let the questions turn into excuses. Don't let a rough patch define your future. When you've made the decision to never quit, even your doubts lose power. You still hear them, but they don't stop you. You've trained your response. You say, I keep going anyway. You get back to work. You get back to progress. And the more you do that, the less control those weak moments have over your life. Every time you choose not to quit, you build resilience. You grow stronger, not just in action, but in identity. You start to see yourself differently. You become someone who doesn't break under pressure. Someone who shows up, no matter how heavy the challenge. That identity stays with you. It spills into every area of your life, your habits, your relationships, your work. When you live by the decision not to quit, you carry power that can't be taken, because you're no longer waiting for the path to get easier. You're becoming stronger for the path. This decision also clears your priorities. Once quitting is off the table, your only options are to learn, adjust, and keep moving. That forces you to pay attention. You become more honest about what's not working. You stop wasting time on distractions. You begin to fix what needs to be fixed, because you're staying in it for the long haul. This decision removes the mental escape routes, so your energy stays where it belongs, on your growth, your effort, and your direction. You stop playing games with your time. So if you're struggling right now, good. That means you're on the path. But today, make the decision that matters. Decide that quitting is done, not tomorrow. Not when it feels easier. Today you draw the line. You lock the door on giving up. And from this day forward, you show up with commitment. You face your resistance with strength. And when the doubts return, you don't argue with them. You've already answered. You said no to quitting. You said yes to the life that only perseverance can build. Number 3. Take small actions every day, no matter how you feel. The real key to progress is doing something small every day. Not when it's convenient, not just when you're excited, but every single day, no matter how you feel. Some days you'll wake up ready to go. Other days you'll feel tired, discouraged, or distracted. But what separates the serious from the average is consistency. The person who keeps moving, even when their energy is low, builds real momentum. They don't wait for the mood to be perfect. They don't wait for inspiration. They understand that forward motion creates progress, and progress doesn't care about how you feel today. Most people don't fail because of one huge mistake. They fail because they stop showing up in small ways. They miss a day, then 2. Then it turns into a week. Soon they've lost the habit, lost the routine, and lost the discipline. But those who commit to small actions, no matter what, build a foundation that lasts. You don't need to do everything at once. You just need to do one thing consistently. Whether it's 5 minutes of reading, a short workout, writing a plan, what matters is that you do it even on your hardest days. You won't always feel like doing it. That's a fact. But your feelings don't have to control your behavior. You're not meant to be ruled by moods. Discipline steps in when emotion fades. That's why small actions are so powerful. They require very little effort, but they train your mind to stay committed. One step, one task, one moment of showing up. You do that daily and it changes how you think. It builds mental toughness. It teaches you to trust yourself. Not based on emotion, but based on consistent action. There's a kind of quiet power in someone who stays consistent. They're not loud, they're not flashy, but over time they're the ones who keep advancing. You might not notice the difference in a week, but in a month, a year, 5 years, everything looks different. One day of discipline won't change your life, but 1,000 small days will. It's not about working all day. It's about working every day, even in small pieces. 1 page read, 1 decision improved, 1 habit practiced. It all counts, and it all adds up. When you're not in the mood, that's when the decision matters most. Anybody can do the work when they feel good, but the real progress happens when you do the work when you don't. That's the gap most people never cross. They think discipline means being hard on yourself. It's not. Discipline means you've decided what matters, and you stick to it. It's not punishment, it's protection. Protection from regret, protection from lost time, protection from becoming someone you never intended to be. Small actions protect your future. If you've ever told yourself you'll start when things calm down, understand this: life doesn't slow down for you to grow. Growth has to happen right in the middle of the mess. The people who move forward are the ones who stop making emotional agreements. They stop saying, "I'll do it when I feel ready," and they replace that with, "I'll do it because it's part of who I'm becoming." Feelings are unstable. They change by the hour, but identity, built by small actions, becomes strong and unshakable. Even on the days where everything feels off, you can still do one thing. And one thing done on a hard day is more valuable than 10 things done on an easy one. That's because it means you chose commitment over comfort. That kind of choice builds internal strength. It sends a message to your brain that your priorities aren't negotiable. And that's how confidence grows. Not from speaking it, from living it, from doing the right thing when no one would blame you for skipping it. Small actions are easy to do, and easy not to do. That's what makes them dangerous if ignored. It's not about being busy. It's about staying aligned with your goals. You don't need big wins every day. You just need real movement. Show up, write the page, make the call, learn for 10 minutes, reflect in silence, clean one area, say no to one distraction. Every one of those things shifts your direction. It's not about intensity. It's about repetition. The person who repeats useful actions becomes unstoppable. You'll have doubts. You'll have moments where you wonder if it's even worth it. But that's part of it. Doubt will visit, but it doesn't get to drive. You act anyway. You keep your daily actions non-negotiable. Not because you're perfect, but because you've decided who you want to be. That's how real progress happens. Not from big emotional speeches, but from someone doing what they said they would over and over again. That's how you earn your own respect. That's how you build something that lasts. So make the choice today. One small action. No matter what, don't wait for motivation. Don't wait to feel great. Just move. You'll find that over time, the small things make the biggest difference. Because the person who keeps showing up builds strength the world can't take. No one can steal the results of your daily effort. And when it's all said and done, you'll know it wasn't luck. It wasn't timing. It was the small, deliberate daily choices you made, even when you didn't feel like it. Number 4, write down what went wrong and fix it yourself. Every setback has a reason behind it, but most people never stop long enough to write it down. They move on too quickly or blame someone else, and the lesson is lost. If you don't take time to understand what went wrong, you're likely to repeat the same mistake. Writing it down forces you to be honest. It makes you face the situation clearly. No more guessing. No more hiding behind excuses. You're not doing it to shame yourself. You're doing it to get better. If you don't know what broke, how can you fix it? That's where your real progress begins. It's easy to get emotional when things go wrong, but emotion won't correct the problem. A clear mind and a pen will. When you write down what didn't work, you take control. You stop the chaos from spinning in your head. You bring structure to the confusion. You take the invisible problem and make it visible. That's when solutions start showing up. You begin to see patterns. You notice habits that didn't serve you. You recognize decisions you made out of fear or laziness. And from there, you're finally able to do something about it. There's no need to wait for someone else to tell you what went wrong. You were there. You know what happened. Deep down, most people know the truth, but they're afraid to face it. That fear keeps them stuck. But if you want to grow, you've got to be stronger than that fear. Sit with it. Ask yourself the tough questions. What choice led to that failure? What did I ignore? What did I avoid? What was I pretending not to see? When you ask honestly, the answers come, and they hurt sometimes. But they're useful. Once it's written down, it becomes real. Now you have something to work with. You're no longer floating in confusion. You've got facts. You've got clarity. Now comes the second part. Fix it yourself. Don't hand that job over to someone else. Don't wait for the perfect helper. If you broke it, you rebuild it. If you missed something, you go back and learn it. It's your life, and no one is coming to save you. You've got to pick up the pieces, one by one, thought by thought, action by action. Most people stay stuck because they're always waiting. Waiting for advice, waiting for approval, waiting for a lucky break. That mindset builds weakness. You don't grow by sitting in your mess. You grow by standing up and taking ownership. You fix what you can with what you have. You don't have to fix everything in a day. You just have to be willing to start. And that first step begins after you've been honest with yourself on paper. What you write becomes your responsibility. And responsibility gives you the power to change it. Don't fall into the trap of writing down what others did wrong. That won't help you improve. It might feel good in the moment, but it keeps you powerless. Focus on your part. What did you do? What didn't you do? That's the only thing you can change. And when you commit to fixing it yourself, you earn your self-respect back. You stop being a victim of your own life. You stop waiting for someone to fix what you avoided. You step up. You make it right. You take back control. Even small problems can become big disasters if ignored. But when you're willing to look at them directly, they shrink. The act of writing makes them less scary. You've turned thoughts into words, and words into strategy. This is not about being perfect. It's about being real. Everyone slips. Everyone fails. But not everyone takes the time to understand why. If you do, you set yourself apart. You don't need 1,000 solutions. You just need one. Fix what broke before it breaks you again. Doing it yourself doesn't mean doing it alone. You can ask for guidance. You can learn from others. But the effort must be yours. No one else can do your push-ups. No one else can walk your path. When you take responsibility for fixing your mistakes, you build muscle, mental, emotional, and even spiritual. You grow into someone who doesn't run from pressure. You learn how to handle discomfort. That toughness becomes your strength, and it stays with you long after the situation has passed. You won't get everything right the first time, but if you write things down and fix them yourself, you'll get closer every time. You'll stop repeating the same cycles. You'll make better decisions. You'll act with more wisdom and more awareness. It's not about punishing yourself for getting it wrong. It's about refusing to ignore it. You do the work, quietly, patiently, consistently, and you keep moving forward, stronger, sharper, and more prepared than before. That's what personal responsibility gives you. So next time something goes wrong, don't react emotionally. Pause. Get quiet. Take out a pen. Ask yourself what really happened. Be honest about your part. Don't hide from it. Write it down. Own it. Then go fix it. You won't feel like it at first, but the moment you do, you'll feel the difference. You're no longer controlled by the setback. You've become the person who learns, adjusts, and builds again. And that person is on their way to a much better life. Number 5. Strengthen your mind by doing what is uncomfortable. Growth doesn't happen when everything feels easy. It happens in the exact moments you want to stop. If you want a stronger mind, you have to challenge it with discomfort. Not once in a while, but on purpose and regularly. That means doing what you don't feel like doing. It means saying no when everyone else says yes. It means waking up early, facing fears, and staying disciplined when quitting sounds better. Strength comes from resistance, not physical resistance. The resistance to distraction, the resistance to laziness. Every uncomfortable task you push through adds a layer of strength to your mind. Your mind is like a muscle. It doesn't grow through rest alone. It grows when it's pushed past comfort, stretched beyond its limits. Every time you choose the harder option, you train yourself to endure, and that endurance becomes a mindset. Not a temporary high, but a permanent shift. You stop looking for the easy way. You start expecting pressure. You don't panic when it gets tough. You're prepared, because you've been here before. You've built your tolerance, not by chance, but by consistently doing the very thing most people avoid. Most people never get mentally strong because they constantly avoid anything that feels uncomfortable. They stop when it gets boring. They retreat when it gets hard. They always look for comfort, and that search keeps them small. You don't rise by doing what's easy. You rise by doing what's necessary, even when you don't want to. Read the extra page, take the cold shower, speak up when it's awkward, finish the workout, turn off the distractions. These are not huge acts, but they train the part of your mind that stays calm under stress. Discomfort is not something to fear, it's something to face. It shows you where your weakness hides. It reveals your limitations, and that's a gift. Because once you see it, you can work on it. You can't improve what you're unwilling to confront. So lean into the parts that feel heavy. Show up when it's inconvenient. Say yes to challenges that scare you. Not because it feels good, but because you're becoming the type of person who doesn't break when life gets hard. That's the reward, not the moment, but the person you become through the moment. You'll never feel completely ready to do what's uncomfortable. That's not the point. The goal is not to wait until you're fearless. The goal is to act in spite of discomfort. The person who always waits to feel ready lives in hesitation, and hesitation robs you of growth. When you do the hard thing anyway, your brain rewires. You start proving to yourself that you're capable of more. And that belief, it sticks. You carry it with you into your decisions, your discipline, your habits. All of it improves when your mind gets stronger. Comfort is addictive. It feels safe. It's easy to justify, but it builds nothing. If you stay there too long, your potential stays locked up. That's the danger. Not failure comfort. It seduces you with rest, but takes your edge away. When you lose that edge, you settle. And when you settle, life starts shrinking. You don't get sharp by avoiding the struggle. You sharpen your focus when you step into what others run from. The uncomfortable task, the hard conversation, the new skill, the strict routine. Every one of those things sharpens your mind. When the mind is strong, the body follows. The emotions follow. The decisions improve. You make fewer excuses. You act with clarity. And when problems come, you don't fold. You've trained for it. You've rehearsed difficulty by choosing it every day. That's where your real power lives. Not in pretending everything's okay, but in preparing for when it's not. You build yourself through the small, quiet acts of discipline that no one sees. And over time, that adds up. You carry calm in chaos. You bring certainty to pressure because you've done the work. Your habits are the proof of your mindset. If you want to know how strong your mind is, look at what you choose when no one's watching. Look at how you respond when you're tired, how you act when you're frustrated. If you only do what's comfortable, your mind is not in charge. But when your choices reflect your values, not your feelings, then you've taken control. That's the turning point. That's when your life starts moving in the direction you've been hoping for. Not because of luck, but because of your consistency under pressure. The more you choose discomfort on purpose, the less power it has over you. What scared you before becomes normal. What stressed you before becomes manageable. You evolve not overnight, but through repetition. It's not glamorous, it's not exciting, but it's effective. Most people will never know what they're capable of because they quit at the first sign of difficulty. You're not most people. You've made a different choice. You've decided to train your mind through action, through challenge, through deliberate effort. That decision will change your life. So keep choosing the uncomfortable path. Don't look for the shortcut. Don't wait until you feel like it. Just act. That daily decision to step forward when it's hard is where all the growth lives, and no one can do it for you. No one can hand you the benefits of a strong mind. You have to earn it, and you do that by showing up, doing the work, and not backing down when it hurts. Because every time you choose discomfort, you choose power. And that power becomes your new normal. Number 6, push yourself harder when you feel like giving up. The moment you feel like giving up is not a signal to stop. It is the exact moment to push yourself even harder. When the mind starts searching for an exit, it is testing your seriousness. Anyone can keep going when the work is easy. But real growth happens when you refuse to fold under pressure. Those who quit early never experience their full strength. But those who lean in, who decide to dig deeper, right when it hurts most, find a version of themselves they didn't know existed. That strength only appears when you choose not to back down. When exhaustion hits, when doubts start yelling louder than your goals, you must push back with action. Action kills doubt. Effort quiets fear. You don't have to feel confident to keep moving. You just have to refuse to surrender. Even a tiny step forward on a hard day is a victory. Pushing harder when everything in you says, stop, rewires your mind. It teaches you that temporary feelings do not control your destiny. You take ownership of your path by showing yourself that quitting is not even on the list of options anymore. Your mind will tell you stories when you're tired. It will try to convince you that the struggle isn't worth it, that the results are too far away, that nobody cares if you quit. That is when you need to push the hardest, because giving in to that voice once makes it easier to listen to it again. Every time you push through, you weaken that voice. You prove to yourself that it's just noise. It has no power unless you hand it over. And you are far too capable to keep giving your power away. You don't need to find a second wind. You need to create it. Pushing harder is not about being reckless. It is about demanding more from yourself when most people would have already walked away. It is about making a conscious decision to honor your commitment, not your feelings. On the other side of that extra push is a stronger you, a version that can handle more, that trusts itself more, that isn't intimidated by pressure anymore. That's not built through comfort. That's built through the decision to continue when quitting seems easier. People admire strength they see in others, but they often forget where that strength comes from. It is born in private battles, in the unseen moments where someone refused to sit down when everything hurt. You want that kind of strength, then you need to earn it. Push through the last few minutes of a hard workout. Finish the task you promised yourself you'd complete. Study for another hour, even when your mind says it's enough. Push your limits not for show, but because you know every extra effort compounds over time. You might think pushing harder is about anger or frustration. It's not. It's about clarity. It's about remembering why you started. It's about loyalty to your goals, even when motivation has left the room. When you push yourself during the hard times, you reinforce discipline. You solidify a habit that says, I am a finisher. I complete what I start. That belief is worth more than any natural talent or early success. Talent fades when it's not backed by grit. Early success dries up when it's not fueled by perseverance. Some days will feel heavier than others. The weight of discouragement will sit on your shoulders. That's normal. But just because it's normal doesn't mean you surrender to it. You build character by standing under that weight a little longer. You tell yourself, today I go one more round. Today I take one more step. That mindset, practiced daily, changes the kind of person you become. You move from hoping life gets easier to getting tougher yourself. You become the person who doesn't fold when others start making excuses. There's a kind of pride that only comes from enduring a hard day well, from knowing you could have backed down but you didn't. That pride is not about ego. It's about respect for yourself. You don't gain that by reading about it or wishing for it. You gain it by doing the hard thing, when no one else is watching, when no one is clapping, when quitting would be so easy. That silent, stubborn refusal to stop is where your confidence starts to grow roots so deep that no storm can shake them. When you keep pushing, even when you don't see instant results, you build faith, not blind faith. Faith based on action. Faith that says, I will not leave empty-handed. Most people never get to experience the reward because they stop digging 3 feet from gold. They back away when the pressure intensifies, not realizing that was the final test. That was the moment they were closest to the breakthrough. When you push harder when you want to quit, You push past the barrier that keeps most people average. So the next time quitting feels like the only option, lean in harder, push past the mental noise, prove to yourself that you are stronger than your emotions. Add 5 more minutes, make 5 more calls, do 5 more reps, read 5 more pages. Every time you outlast the quitting point, you raise your standard. You move further away from regret and closer to the life you said you wanted. You earn a strength that cannot be faked, borrowed, or bought, and you will carry that strength into everything you touch from this day forward. Number 7. Clean up your habits that caused the setback. Every setback you face didn't just appear by accident. Somewhere behind it was a habit that opened the door. If you want real change, you have to go back and clean up the habits that caused the damage, not just patch things up, not just promise yourself it won't happen again. You have to dig into your daily actions and pull out the weak behaviors by the roots. That means taking a real, honest look at what you've been doing day in and day out, without blame, without hiding. Because if you don't fix the habits, the setback will repeat itself. Habits are powerful because they run quietly in the background. You barely notice them until the consequences show up. A little procrastination here, a little excuse there, skipping the small things you said were important. Before you know it, the cracks appear. If you don't stop and clean them up, they get bigger. Small bad habits don't stay small forever. They expand. They bleed into your mindset. They start pulling you away from your goals without you even realizing it. Cleaning them up means confronting them without excuses and without delay. It's not enough to identify the habits. You have to replace them. You have to decide, this behavior is over, and here's what I'm doing instead. Because if you leave a gap, the old habit will rush right back in. The brain loves what's familiar, even when it's harmful. If you always snooze your alarm, replace it with getting up and walking immediately. If you always put off the hard work, replace it with starting the hardest task first. You clean up by acting differently, not just thinking differently. Cleaning up your habits isn't a one-day event. It's a daily commitment. You have to watch yourself closely, especially in the early stages. Bad habits don't disappear quietly. They fight to stay alive. They whisper to you, just once won't hurt. They make excuses sound reasonable. If you're serious about moving forward, you have to shut those excuses down every single time they appear. You have to show yourself that the old way of living is not welcome anymore. Only better standards are allowed now. Most people want new results while holding on to old habits. It doesn't work like that. You can't outwork bad habits forever. They will catch you eventually. They will slow you down when you need to move fast. They will drain your energy when you need to stay strong. Cleaning up your habits is not about being harsh on yourself. It's about protecting your future. It's about making sure you're not carrying the same mistakes into your next opportunity. If you want to rebuild, you need a clean foundation, not one full of cracks. One of the hardest parts about changing habits is accepting that some of the things you enjoyed were hurting you. Comfort habits feel good in the moment. They soothe. They distract. But they also steal your momentum. They rob you of pride in your progress. Every time you choose comfort over responsibility, you make the next setback more likely. Cleaning up means getting brutally honest about what's holding you back and choosing to let it go, even when part of you wants to cling to it. Accountability matters when you're cleaning up your habits. You can't afford to lie to yourself. You can't keep telling yourself it's no big deal. Small things are a big deal when they're repeated every day. Write down the habits you know are dragging you down. See them clearly. Then write down the new actions you're going to replace them with. Keep that list visible. Review it every morning. Build your environment around it. If you're serious, you won't leave your habits to chance anymore. You will design them on purpose. Nobody gets stronger by pretending their bad habits don't exist. They get stronger by facing them head on, by acknowledging the truth, by taking complete responsibility. Cleaning up your habits means taking ownership of your time, your energy, and your focus. You stop waiting for motivation. You stop blaming distractions. You stop defending old patterns that never served you. You become the architect of your life, building with discipline instead of reacting to every passing feeling. That's the real shift. That's when you become unstoppable. Cleaning up your habits will feel uncomfortable at first. You will miss the easy path. You will crave the old routines. That's normal. It's part of breaking free. Every day you resist the pull of your old habits, you get stronger. Every day you replace weakness with discipline, you become more capable. It's not about being perfect. It's about being relentless. It's about refusing to settle. It's about doing the work to create a life you can be proud of. One decision, one habit, one day at a time. So take a look at the habits that got you here. No shame, no drama, just honesty. Then do the work, cut them out, replace them with something better. Monitor yourself like your future depends on it, because it does. Every day you stay disciplined is a day you move closer to the life you want. Not because it magically appears, but because you built it with clean habits, strong choices, and relentless commitment. That's the real way to turn a setback into a comeback you can be proud of. Number 8. Focus all your energy on building a better plan. After a setback, your mind can easily get trapped in blame, regret, or frustration. But none of those emotions build anything new. They burn your energy without moving you forward. If you're serious about making a comeback, you must shift your focus entirely onto building a better plan. Not halfway, not when you feel like it. All your energy has to be pointed forward. A setback only exposes that the old plan had weaknesses. It's not a death sentence. It's a lesson. And it demands a better, stronger, clearer plan for the future. You still have the power to create. Building a better plan is about clarity. It's about being specific, not vague. Too many people say, "I'll just try harder," and wonder why nothing changes. Effort without direction is wasted motion. You don't need more hustle. You need smarter hustle. A better plan forces you to answer tough questions. What exactly will you do differently? Where exactly did you slip? How exactly will you track your actions? Clarity turns vague hope into a solid strategy. It strips away confusion and makes your next steps undeniable. Without a clear plan, you're gambling instead of building. Your energy is limited. Every hour you spend complaining about what went wrong is an hour you could have spent creating a better approach. Energy flows where attention goes. If your attention stays locked onto the problem, you magnify the failure. If your attention locks onto the solution, you start rebuilding immediately. Energy is a tool. Aim it at building. Aim it at writing a schedule, setting clear goals, and tightening up your strategy. Even if your energy is low after a setback, you can choose to direct what's left of it towards something useful. When you build a better plan, you also rebuild your confidence. You show yourself that you're not stuck. You show yourself that you're not helpless. Confidence doesn't come from wishing, it comes from action. From knowing that you have a system, not just emotions. A strong plan shrinks fear. It gives your mind something to obey on the hard days. It turns chaos into structure. It turns random hopes into daily habits. Without a plan, the smallest obstacle can knock you down. With a plan, you have an anchor to hold on to during the storms. A better plan doesn't mean you'll longer plan. It means a sharper one. Some people think planning means overloading themselves with 50 new goals. That's a setup for failure. A good plan is simple enough to follow when you're tired. A good plan is specific enough that you know exactly what winning looks like each day. What are the 3 things you must do daily? What habits must become non-negotiable? What distractions must be eliminated? If your plan isn't clear enough to act on today, it's not strong enough yet. Most people won't build a better plan because it forces them to admit they didn't think deeply before. It stings to see where you rushed or got lazy. But that's part of growing up. That's part of taking ownership of your future. You don't get better by pretending the old way worked. You get better by confronting the weak spots and reinforcing them with real structure. You stop guessing. You stop hoping. You become a builder. A builder who doesn't just dream about a comeback but constructs it brick by brick with deliberate thought. When you sit down to build your new plan, don't rush it. Give it your full presence. Shut off distractions. Think deeply. Write everything down. Plans that stay in your head are fantasies. Plans that live on paper become blueprints for action. Look at your days. Look at your habits. Look at your environment. How can you make your future success easier and more automatic? How can you set up systems so that momentum becomes natural instead of accidental? A strong plan removes as much guesswork as possible from your daily life. Your new plan must be built around your real priorities, not just your preferences. Comfort cannot be the designer of your future. Discipline must be. Your plan must challenge you. It must stretch you. It must be built with enough honesty that you know it's preparing you, not just entertaining you. If your plan makes you a little nervous, it's probably strong. If it feels too easy, you're still playing small. Growth demands plans that are bigger than your excuses, but simple enough to act on today. Once you build the better plan, your job is to work the plan, not just admire it. A plan is worthless without execution. It's not enough to get excited about a fresh strategy. Real discipline starts when you live it daily. Review it every morning. Track your behavior. Adjust it if necessary, but stay committed to it. Execution builds trust with yourself. Every day you follow your plan, you rebuild the belief that you can depend on you. That belief will carry you longer than any moment of motivation ever could. So right now, take all the energy you were wasting on feeling bad and aim it forward. Build a plan that matches your new standards. Make it sharp. Make it honest. Make it simple enough to live by. Then work it with everything you have. If you do that, your setback will not be the end of your story. It will be the turning point. It will be the moment you stopped hoping for change and started creating it with a better, wiser, stronger plan made by your own hands. Number 9. Stay away from people who accept average living. If you are serious about changing your life, you must be serious about changing who you spend your time with. People who accept average living will never push you to be your best. They will always make you feel like settling is normal. They will encourage you to take shortcuts. They will tell you that working hard is pointless. And if you listen long enough, you will start to believe them. Your standards will start to lower without you even noticing. Slowly, quietly, you will drift away from your dreams because you let the wrong voices shape your thinking. The truth is, average living is easy to catch. It spreads like a slow disease. One conversation turns into two. One excuse turns into a habit. One lazy decision becomes a lifestyle. People who accept average don't always mean harm. Some of them love you. Some of them think they are protecting you. But their influence is heavy, even when they are smiling. You must protect your mind from environments where mediocrity is celebrated. Because if you stay there, you'll start to forget who you were meant to become. Every day you are either being pulled closer to your goals or pushed further away. There is no standing still. If you surround yourself with people who expect little from life, you'll find yourself lowering your expectations too. They will tell you things like, just be grateful for what you have. Not because they want you to be strong, but because they gave up on building more. Gratitude is powerful, but it should never be an excuse to stop growing. You can be thankful and still chase a bigger life. Choosing to stay away from people who settle does not make you arrogant. It makes you wise. You're not better than them, but you have chosen a different path. You have decided that your dreams are worth protecting, that your energy is worth preserving, that your time is too valuable to waste on conversations that go nowhere. Distance is not about hate. Distance is about survival. If you want to live an uncommon life, you must protect yourself from the influence of common thinking. It can be uncomfortable to create distance. You might feel guilty. You might feel lonely at first, but loneliness is better than losing yourself. It's better than drowning in an environment where nobody expects anything more from themselves. Growth often requires seasons of separation. Seasons where you get serious about your future without needing approval. Seasons where you walk alone until you find the right people. People who dream bigger. People who push harder. People who refuse to settle for an average life. You cannot rise while clinging to dead weight. You cannot build momentum while dragging people who don't want to move. It's not your job to save them. It's not your responsibility to carry their apathy. Your responsibility is to yourself first. You must build your future before you can ever think about helping someone else. Stay around people who lift standards, not people who lower them. Stay around people who make you feel capable, not people who make you doubt your own ambition. Watch the conversations happening around you. Listen carefully. Are they talking about solutions or just complaining? Are they focused on progress or stuck in the past? Are they making plans or making excuses? The atmosphere you live in will either feed your courage or feed your fear. Choose your circle with the same seriousness you would choose your business partners. Your future depends on it. Where energy is low, results are low. Where energy is high, mountains start moving. Energy is contagious. So guard yours carefully. People who accept average will always make you feel wrong for wanting more. They will call you obsessed. They will call you unrealistic. They will say you're chasing too hard. But the ones who build great lives never listen to that noise. They know that a little bit more effort, a little bit more belief, and a little bit more discipline separate winners from everyone else. Stay connected to people who understand that hunger. Stay close to those who make you feel uncomfortable for aiming low, not for aiming high. The beautiful thing about distancing yourself from average is that it clears space for excellence. When you stop entertaining small talk, you start having big conversations. When you stop feeding relationships that go nowhere, you open the door for relationships that build you up. Your environment either challenges you or weakens you. And the fastest way to change your life is to change who you listen to daily. Respect your dreams enough to stop sharing them with people who laugh. Share them with people who say, "How can we make it happen?" So if you want to turn your setback into a comeback, you must be ruthless about who gets access to your energy. You must guard your focus like it is treasure, because it is. Stay away from people who have settled. Stay away from people who no longer fight for better days. Stay away from people who quit on themselves long ago. And stay close to those who push, those who fight, those who demand the best from life. Build your circle with people who remind you that greatness is still possible, and never let it shrink again. Number 10. Remind yourself daily why you must win again. Winning once is not enough. Life demands that you win again. And again, and again. Every morning you must remind yourself why you cannot afford to stay where you are. Comfort will call your name. Distractions will pull at your focus. Challenges will whisper that you are not strong enough. If you do not remind yourself daily why you must win, you will forget. The world does not owe you motivation. You have to build it yourself, brick by brick, thought by thought, reminding your mind and heart that the mission is not over until the life you want is real. A clear reason fuels endurance. Without a reason, work feels empty. Struggle feels pointless. But when you anchor yourself to a powerful why, you can outlast anything. You can face setbacks with a different spirit. You can wake up tired but still push forward, because the reason is bigger than the feeling. Remind yourself daily that you are not fighting for comfort. You are fighting for freedom. You are not grinding for trophies. You are grinding for the life you promised yourself when you first dared to dream bigger. When you wake up without a reason, you move through the day carelessly. You make decisions that steal your momentum. You drift. But when you wake up and reconnect to your purpose, you sharpen your actions. You move with intent. You act like someone who understands that today is not just another day. It's an opportunity. Every single day matters. Not just the big ones. Not just the exciting ones. Every ordinary morning carries the seeds of your future success. Remind yourself daily or risk sleepwalking through your own life. Write down your reasons. Read them out loud if you have to. Burn them into your mind until they are stronger than your doubts. Remember what you are chasing. Remember who you are fighting for. Maybe it's your family. Maybe it's your own pride. Maybe it's a promise you made when no one was watching. Whatever it is, it matters. And it matters enough to fight for it. You can't afford to let a day go by without locking your mind back onto that purpose with full seriousness and full responsibility. Daily reminders are not a luxury. They are a necessity. Pressure is everywhere. Temptation to slow down is everywhere. If you don't actively feed your purpose, the world will feed you distractions. Remind yourself that your dreams are not casual. They are your duty. You were given a mind, a body, and a life for a reason. Winning again is not about greed or pride. It's about fulfilling the potential you were trusted with. Remind yourself that excuses are easy, but excellence is earned one decision at a time. Starting today. Starting now. Winners don't win by accident. They win because they refuse to forget why they started. They carry their reasons into their work, into their sacrifices, into their mindset. They live differently because they think differently. And that thinking is not natural. It's built by repetition. You train your mind the same way you train your muscles, by feeding it the right thoughts every day. Remind yourself when it's raining. Remind yourself when you're sore. Remind yourself when the results are slow. The strength you build from remembering daily becomes your advantage. You will face moments when quitting feels easier than continuing. It will be tempting to tell yourself that you've done enough, that it's okay to slow down. Those are the exact moments you must dig deeper into your reasons. Remind yourself that ease is not the goal, growth is. Remind yourself that every time you choose discipline over comfort, you prove to yourself that you deserve the life you are building. The prize does not go to the one who starts with energy. It goes to the one who finishes with persistence. Your future will be built by the decisions you make when no one is pushing you. No one will remind you every morning. No one will beg you to stay focused. It must come from inside. Every single day you have to step into the driver's seat of your mind and steer it toward your mission. Remind yourself why it matters, even when it feels far away. Remind yourself that the pain of discipline today is nothing compared to the pain of regret tomorrow. Own your reasons. Protect them. Revisit them until they shape you completely. There are people counting on you to win again, whether they ever say it or not. Your family needs you strong. Your future needs you committed. Your dreams need you present. You don't just owe it to yourself. You owe it to everything and everyone that depends on the best version of you showing up daily. Every action you take either builds that version or buries it. Remind yourself daily because the world will try to make you forget. Stay awake. Stay hungry. Stay locked in on the vision you were born to bring to life. Winning again is not a suggestion. It is a demand. It is a command you give yourself daily, with full authority. You don't ask for permission to keep going. You demand it from within. And that demand must be renewed every day without fail. Remind yourself why you must win again. Remind yourself what's at stake. Remind yourself what it will feel like to know you gave everything you had and refused to settle. Then step into your day with that fire burning brighter than anything that tries to stop you. Now you've got the map in your hands. You've got the strategies. You've got the real steps that can take you from a setback to a full comeback. But remember this, a good plan alone doesn't change your life. Action does. The comeback doesn't happen because you listened. It happens because you decided. It happens because you made a new promise to yourself. A promise that says, I will rise again. I will not stay where I fell. I will rebuild stronger, sharper, better. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to get it all right today. But you do have to start. You have to take that first strong step and then another. Build your comeback with discipline. Build it with patience. Build it with the fire that says, this time I don't quit halfway. Life didn't break you. It prepared you. It tested you. And now it's giving you a choice. Stay defeated or start building your greatest comeback. Choose to rise. Choose to fight. Choose to win again. And never forget, your story is far from over. The best chapters are still ahead.